SaskAg Today from the Food, Fuel, and Fertilizer Summit. Here is Ryan Young.
It is day 2 of the Food, Fuel, and Fertilizer Global Summit from the Delta Hotel in downtown Regina. I'm Ryan Young, AgriNews Director with 620 CKRM and host of SaskAg Today. And joining me is the President and CEO of AGT Food and Ingredients, Murad Al-Katib. Murad, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Nice to have me. Thanks.
So let's talk a little bit about day 1 yesterday. You were part of a panel discussion. You were moderating a discussion with the former U.S. Ambassador to Canada, David Wilkins. Just talk a little bit about some of the takeaways you got from that conversation.
Well, definitely interesting to have David come. He was certainly our ambassador at a very important time in Canada-U.S. relations. And, great to hear a perspective from a seasoned, political veteran like him on, what's going to happen with the U.S. presidential election in terms of relations with Canada in a Biden administration versus a Trump administration. And, just the historical context of, he was our ambassador, to Canada when we were resolving issues like the softwood lumber issue, which was certainly a very important trade issue for our country. So the importance of relationships, the importance of Canada to the United States, was affirmed by David. And I think it was great for the business audience to hear that message, that relationships matter, that we are important when it comes to agriculture, food, fuel, and fertilizer. And, words like, Canada is not just a partner, it's family. It's great to hear that. Now, we want to see that out of the presidential administrations as well as we go forward. But, certainly very interesting. He had the audience sitting on the edge of their chairs for sure.
And as a business person, kind of hearing that from somebody as high profile as Mr. Wilkins, how do you take that?
Listen, you can't ignore the integrated trade nature of our economy with the United States. I mean, if you look at Canada's largest trading partner, it's 31 U.S. states are our largest trading partners. So, you look at that integration of the economy, and it's an unprecedented integration between two nations. So that's optimistic. The geopolitical environment in the United States has really had an America first, and I don't expect that really to change. So the Biden administration, if they're reelected, what you see is what you get. I think things are okay. On the Trump side, I think we'll have a little bit more challenge, in terms of that. But at the end of the day, politicians don't, at the end of the day, drive the agenda entirely. There's an integration of agriculture between Canada and the U.S. I mean, again, southern Saskatchewan pulses are going into the U.S. regularly for processing. U.S. products are coming up here. These markets are no longer delineated. The border's relatively open. Now, country of origin labeling, those kinds of things worry me in agriculture. And, those weren't Trump policies, actually. Those were actually, first Clinton and then Obama government policies. So the Democrats have also been very protectionist when it comes to agricultural lobby and agricultural vote. But, at the end of the day, Canada is very diversified. We need to be looking at multiple markets. The U.S. is important for us, but, so are emerging markets. I mean, to me, emerging markets like India, North Africa, the Middle East, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, these are our key export destinations for our durum wheat, for our pulses. And then, again, the deregulation and the consolidation of the global grain industry continues with the pending Bunge-Viterra merger. So it's an exciting time for Canada. I think that, we're important in the world. Canada and Saskatchewan is important in the world in terms of filling a big gap that's being, caused by the Russia-Ukraine crisis, but being caused by volatility and climate change. And we're sitting here today, and I'm smiling ear to ear with rain that is, in every single growing region of our province, basically getting rain at the same time. We haven't had that in a while, so it's time for optimism.
Absolutely, and just kind of steering a little bit towards the conference here, just kind of talk a little bit about how important it is, to be here and, to make connections with, former government officials or current government officials, fellow business leaders, and even farmers too.
I think that, this conference, I mean, it's the second time it's been run by the Chamber, first time in Regina. And, you look at the panel of speakers. I mean, you can't come to many conferences and see, Premier Moe, the former Premier Wall, the former Prime Minister, CEOs of, call it 5 of the top 10 companies in Saskatchewan, all speaking at the same event. So, it's a event where we're trying to do 2 things. We're celebrating the success of the potash industry, the mining industry, the agriculture industry, and ultimately, the whole energy and the energy transition side of our economy. And, that balance in the Saskatchewan economy is what we have that other jurisdictions don't have, and why sometimes we are mistakenly overlooked. We're not just a boom on oil like our neighbors to the west. We're balanced. And that's why, Saskatchewan's very important. So celebration's a part of it. Second thing is just, cutting through and getting onto people's agendas. This conference gets, people coming from outside the province, gets a lot of media attention, like this interview I'm doing here. It's important for people to recognize that we shouldn't just feel good. This is real, tangible benefits for Saskatchewan families, right? 20 billion in agricultural exports. Again, 49 billion in total exports out of this province for a province of 1.2 million people. I've spent a career in this province, first in the government and trade promotion, and then starting up AGT 23 years ago and building a company. And, seeing this level of export success and market reach from little old Saskatchewan, it's impressive. But, again, my message in my speech today is going to be, let's not pat ourselves on the back and be too happy with how we've done so far. How we've done so far is amazing, but the future is billions of dollars of growth. And, I think that the agriculture sector in our province is just poised for that next level of growth. Technology is going to disrupt what we're doing, and our farmers have continued to show they're early adopters of technology. So data, sensors, collection, precision agriculture will go to the next level, which ultimately will allow us to, even more effectively practice smart fertilization, smart farming practices. That's going to boost our yield, right? We've got the irrigation project announced finally, with shovels going in the ground. That West Central region is exciting to think of hundreds of thousands of acres of irrigated farmland, coming on stream. These are the things that we have to take only as building blocks to the next generation of agriculture. And the next generation is 40 billion in exports, not 20. And that will be communities that will benefit. I grew up in Davidson, born and raised, and, looking at, growing up in a farming community in the 70s and 80s, it was a tough go. And now the future of agriculture is one that's attracting young people, right? I've got computer programmers that work full-time on app development for farmers. They love what they do because they're feeding the world and they're doing what they love. So this sector has attraction now, and it has attraction and traction. So both of those things I think are really important to the future.
Awesome. We'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And that's Murad Al-Katib with AGT Food and Ingredients. And I'm Ryan Young, AgriNews Director with 620 CKRM and the host of Sask Ag Today, coming at you from the Food, Fuel, and Fertilizer Global Summit in Regina.